You mentioned Deets up there. Kind of what's his timeline? Where is he at?
Yeah, he was a little bit behind some of the other guys that have been rehabbing. I think, sometimes it's not just physical, it's mental. You're scared to let it go as a pitcher. You don't want to hurt it again. He's been hurt a couple of times, and he's getting through that. I think he made some strides last week, and he's had a few conversations with Coach Hobbs about it, and, we'll see how it goes. He won't be ready, I don't think, opening weekend, but we're hoping sometime shortly after that we get him out there for an inning or two. I mean, if we can get him back in the mid-90s with what he had, he could be, something that could really help us.
After a couple of weekends, do you feel a little bit better about the lineup and starting rotation and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's come back and disappointed me. I think some guys have gotten better. You think, example, a guy like Michael Anderson didn't have a good fall at all. Obviously you're a big first baseman. You got to hit, and I think he's kind of, done something about it, giving him a chance to get in there. But we got Rocco Pepe's healthy, and he hit 3 balls hard yesterday. He got tough luck with some of the wind, but Kendall Diggs, you never know how it's going to go when he comes back. Didn't play all summer, all fall, and now he's facing live pitching, and he's squaring up some balls. He got jammed a couple times, struck out a few times. He also hit balls hard the other way. Yesterday he hit a ball that would have been a double, but he's had a little hamstring problem. But he also hit a ball on the building the other day. So seeing him do what he's doing is really good to see, and knowing that he'll be ready to play opening day if his leg's healthy.
Have you had any discussions with, the 4 guys that are competing for the weekend rotation about what their role might be depending on who doesn't, who is the 4th guy there?
Yeah, not yet. I haven't. You'd probably have to talk more to Coach Hobbs about that. But, we do play 4 games first weekend, so, it might tell you what might happen, in what order. We're not sure yet. But, we'll have 4 starters. The next weekend, one of those guys will come out of the pen. And that's when the conversations probably start more.
How cool is it to have TBA instead of TBD?
Well, I guess it's cool, man. It's just, I don't know. It's a good thing.
The competition at first base, how's that kind of playing out right now?
Well, like I said, we have options at first. That's what I'm saying. We have. It's not like we don't know who to play over there. We've got 3 or 4 or 5 guys that we could stick at first, and you have to have somebody over there that can catch the baseball and field balls out of the dirt and have it field bunts. We worked a lot of them out. We took Cahillo and just put him in the outfield basically because I think that's where he's going to play in the future. He's got a big arm. He runs well and he has power. Fielding ground ball is not kind of his thing yet, so to speak, even though he played some over there last year at BYU in practice. So that eliminated one, but when Kendall came back, it gave us another option where, it could be him or Pepe or Anderson. And then Reese Robinette is probably the best defender over there. Maybe, but I'm working him out at third all the time because he's pretty good over there. He had a bad day. Maybe it was Friday. Good day Saturday, but yeah, it's. I guess it's a good problem to have, and the thing is, most of the guys over there can swing the bat a little bit.
Talked about Helfrich being one of the best receivers in the country behind the plate. Could you maybe, go more in depth on what that looks like from your perspective?
Yeah, it's all you have to do is know how to read the data and see how many pitches he gets us a game. Example, if there's a 50-50 ball is what we call it, which is right on the edge, maybe a ball out, they're going to call it 50-50 striker ball, depending on a lot of time how it's received. And so let's say there's 25 50-50 balls in the game, and he gets 15 of those calls, and the other catcher only gets X amount. And then there's also 50-50, a ball that's a strike that they run out of the zone, and the other catcher, and you'll win the game on looking at the catcher. You can look at how that ends up being scored and go, wow, we beat them by 12 pitches. Usually you win. And he's usually not beat.
Is Pepe's energy something that's maybe been missing from the past 2 teams?
Yeah, that's a good observation. I wouldn't say the energy, maybe just the verbalness, just verbally, making noise and talking and You know, and Davelin's very verbal in center field. You probably can't hear him. You know, depending on which way the wind's blowing, but he's talking all the time out there. And Pepe talks a little bit, you know, if you found out. Plus in the dugout when we're up, yeah, he's verbal. He's not just sitting around watching it, you know, but it's not fake. You know, you don't want it to be fake. And I think it's a good thing.
You got some guys like Pepe, Diggs, and I know you just said you moved Cujillo to the outfield that are competing both corner, outfield, and first base. Between those positions, is there one where it's a higher priority for a better defensive guy?
Well, I would say probably at first base, you know, because first baseman's, you know, catching pickoffs and catching throws from the infielders, and outfielder might get 2 balls a game, but when they make a mistake out there, it's 3 bases, 2 to 3 bases, and it just really shows up a lot of times more. But obviously they're all important, and I've told all the guys that I want to play defense. We played great defense the last 3 or 4 years. Are we going to have a .980 fielding percentage this year? I don't know. I mean, when you turn over as many as we do, it's hard. But we just need to make the plays we're supposed to make. And yeah, it's first base. If I had to just answer your question, black or white, yes or no, I'd say first base.
You talked about McIntyre's improvement on the fastball. What else is different about him this year?
Well, it's just he's throwing it for a strike. You know, last year he left it high, or you know, he's throwing it too far out, trying to throw the ball away, and now our hitters are having to respect it. You know, our guys are sitting on that cutter a little bit, and then that fastball comes and they don't catch up to it. It just keeps them off balance, and that's what he was missing last year. That's the key for him.
You mentioned Gibbler's rough outing the other day. Is there any concern there, or is it just a matter of it's a freshman and it happens?
Yeah, I think he just kind of snowballed on him a little bit, and you know, coaching him, we're working on some mechanics yesterday after the game and inside. So we'll see how it goes this weekend. You know, if it happens 2 or 3 times in a row, then it becomes more of a concern.
With Justin Thomas Jr., you talked about his base running and fielding, but streaky as a hitter. How does he improve on that?
Well, you know, it's all about approach. And when he first got here, he was wearing out our third baseman on the ground. So that means he's pulling off. And, you know, we work with him pretty much the whole time he stays through the middle of the field, goes the other way. Now, think about our scrimmage on Friday. He smoked the ball to right field. He hit another couple of balls hard to right field. He's going to strike out a little bit. But you know, it's about staying on the ball. And what happens is these kids, they're trying to hit home runs when you get them at all levels, you know, and he's very strong. I mean, he hit balls and they go out of the park. But, you know, we need him on base. And we've been working, like, he's a good bunter. He can bunt for a hit, and he does pull the ball a little bit, but he stays through the middle. Well, now he shows a threat to bunt. Third baseman's playing even with the bag. He's going to bounce some cheap ones by him and steal a base and help us win. You look at the way Souza did it yesterday. He stole second, he stole third, and scored on sac fly for the second out. And you got to do that every now and then. We have a couple, 3 guys that can do that.
Did you know, like, it seems like Souza's taken a leap. When you guys recruited him, did you feel like he had this high ceiling that was untapped? Yeah.
You just look at him physically and look at his tools. I mean, one of the fastest guys on the team, one of the strongest guys on the team. He's still growing a little bit, honestly, and he's got bat speed. And you know, you watch his batting practice; he didn't pull the ball at all. But if we tell him, "Hey, okay, why don't you just try to hit a couple over the light pole here in the right field?" He can come close, believe me. But he's a little raw when he got here, honestly, and he's made big strides. Defensively, a lot better. Confident, turned the double play pretty good. He can play short and third too, as well.
Does that make you guys, motivate you guys to maybe try Koshal out at different positions as well?
Yeah, we talked about him playing first base over the holidays, but you know, he's just got to hit. He's got to make us play him, and you know, when he gets in there, whether it's a DH to start or wherever we put him, it's all about the bat. You got to get in the lineup, and he did not have a good fall, but it's getting better.
Fisher last year, Felder this year. Just kind of what allows, you know, maybe these young pitchers to consistently move up the pecking order? It seems like there's one every year.
So what was the beginning of that?
The Fisher last year,
Oh, yeah.
Felder this year.
Yeah, you know, Fisher coming off the injury slowed him down, and he's, you know, we didn't know if we'd have him until mid-season, and he's pretty much ready to go almost. So what allows you to move up the pecking order is that you just become a better locator of pitches and confidence. You've been there and done that. You don't get shook up, and you get hitters out. You get hitters out, you pitch. So I tell our pitchers all the time, it's not rocket science, man. You know, position player, they got to play defense, they got to hit, they got to know the signs, they got to run the bases. Sometimes it takes a little time to figure out if they need to be out there. If you get out on the mound and you're pitching, you get out hitters, and you have a clue holding runners, you're pitching. And, you know, so he's got all that. And, you know, the young pitchers, they get better. You know, Wood is a lot better. His arm's better, his mentality. We've calmed him down a little bit. He's still intense, but he doesn't blow it all out in one inning because that's what he used to do. And it's fun to watch him develop on the mental side. And he's a strike thrower.
I know you're ready to get playing, but a big crowd today. Can you sense the optimism from the fans?
Yeah, I appreciate it so much. You know, I didn't know what it was going to be like coming over here. I knew it was probably going to be a little bigger room, and you know, it seemed to be pretty full. People seem to be, you know, they seem excited about the season, and yeah, there's a little hype about the season. And hats off to the players by getting better. Coaches getting some good players in here, and you know, it went well in the fall, and I just feel like that. You know, I was thinking going at the end of last year with what we were losing that it was going to take some time this year with whoever we brought in, just because of so many. But the personalities that we brought in, and we try to figure them out during the recruiting process and ask all the right questions and not, you know, sugarcoat it for them, see how they act. And yeah, I think we got some of the right guys mentally. We'll see how it turns out.
How does Zane Becker look behind the plate to you?
He's gotten a lot better. You know, Zane had some arm problem in high school, and like I said, we committed him maybe his sophomore year. And he started as a freshman there as a hitter and then as a catcher, and then he tweaked that arm, and throwing had kind of gone backwards a little bit. But his catching the last 2 weekends has been a lot better than in the fall. Now he's had development off. And our catchers are always catching the pitchers. You know, their bullpens and everything they do is watched and tracked. And, you know, they catch a guy in the bullpen or in the indoor and everything's there. And they can go say, hey, I ran that one out of the zone. I kept that one there. We can see it. His blocking's always been good. His throwing was below average. Well, it's ticked up a little bit. And but the offense, I mean, if he's getting 3 and 4 at-bats a game, he's been squaring it up, you know, 2 and 3 times a game, which has really been good to see.
Who's your top 8th inning guys?
Our
8th inning.
8th inning guy, I mean, yeah, that's a tough one because there are a few. I mean, we're going to mix and match it, and then, I mean, who's not starting? If Bottle Cheese isn't starting, he could go 8 and 9. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know if we'll just have, hey, we got to get to the 9th to get you in. It'll be. Some of these guys can go 2. You know, they can go 25, 30 pitches and still be throwing, you know, just as good as second inning. So it's still up in the air, but we do have a lot of good options. I mean, I guess I really don't want to say anything yet because I don't want to discourage